All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 463 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And I wanted to take my time on this episode because I usually have these episodes up earlier in the morning than what it is today, because I really wanted to think about this whole, Atlanta Falcons thing. Like, what is really going on here? Because the refusal to run the ball is really the refusal to throw the ball is very mind-blowing, and it's getting to the point where it doesn't make sense. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, we're probably going to see more of this throughout the season, and it's going to be more of a head-scratcher. But we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about what's going on with the Falcons, in my opinion, and just go from there. If this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on Anchor, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Thank you guys for the support. The last episode about Amari Jones, that was a really cool episode. I really enjoyed doing that, and I'm glad to hear that he's going to be doing better, and his football career is not over. So hopefully we'll see him in another, you'll see him back on the field some form of fashion. So that's awesome to hear. All the links are down in the description if you want to support. You can check all that stuff out. And let's go ahead and get into this. The Falcons are in a situation where they have weapons. They have weapons that could really be productive if used. The problem is they haven't been using any of the weapons to the extent I thought they would. We're looking at a situation where you have Kyle Pitts and Drake London. Both of these guys are top 10 picks in the last couple of years. And last game when they played against Cincinnati, I think they was only targeted like 4 or 5 times. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I could be wrong. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't get it where they were targeted, under 10 times. I don't understand what is going on here. Why would you draft guys such high, guys of talent so high, and these guys are literally, they're like generational talents basically. If you look at what Kyle Pitts can do and Drake London can do, these guys are franchise changing type of players. I mean, the way that tight ends are played in this league, Kyle Pitts could easily have like 7 or 8 catches a game. A guy like Drake London, the fact that Kyle Pitts is on the team, could have another 7 or 8 catches a game. This could be a really good problem for the Falcons and a really devastating problem for the opposition. But they're not being used. I'm not saying they're not being used properly. They're not being used at all. When you have Marcus Mariota throwing the ball for 13 times and 14 times here, 16 times there, you're not going to win games. That's even if you don't have a Kyle Pitts or a Drake London. You're not going to win games in this league playing football that way. That works when you have like my other team, like Georgia Southern back in the day. We used to only throw the ball 6, 7, 8 times. Hell, we won games without completing a pass. Ask the Florida Gators. So when you're looking at situations where these guys are literally not throwing the ball, and you are relying on your 5th round running back to run the ball at the level that he's running it, it makes you scratch your head and be like, all right, what are we doing here? Because I'm literally confused on what the Falcons are trying to do to win football games. Yes, it worked against the Cleveland Browns. It worked very well. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because now it just seems like that's going to be the ideal situation for the offense going forward. Because when we ran the ball 10 straight times for a touchdown, Caleb Huntley and Tyler Algier did an excellent job of going in, and running the ball straight through them. Very good job. But that's not going to work with every team. It makes you very one-dimensional, and then you turn around and not throw the ball because it's either you're scared or you're just trying to find the right time to do it. I don't know. It just doesn't. It's just not going to work. And unfortunately, we're probably going to see more of that. If we're going to, if I knew this was going to be the case, why even try to run exotic plays for the passing game? Because there are some plays out there that Arthur Smith do have lined up, or I've seen him design on the field that actually cater to a Kyle Pitts or a Drake London, and hell, even a Zacchaeus and Brian Edwards and Damian Byrd. He has the plays to do so. I've seen it. We've seen it. But unfortunately, it just has not been there, and I don't understand why. I just don't. I don't get it. I mean, in my opinion, is almost a head scratcher. If you're gonna, if I known that this was the case, why didn't he just draft a running back the first year? Number 4 overall, I get it. But if we know what we know now, and I've been saying this from the beginning, forget the quarterback stuff. Forget about the, Kyle Pitts. When the 2021 draft came about, I thought we was going to pick somebody like Najee Harris. And knowing what we know now, that probably wouldn't have been a bad look because we're running the ball like crazy now. Okay, we didn't get Najee Harris. All right, that's fine. That's cool. I'm not worried about that. Second round, I thought they were going to get Javonte Williams. I mean, if you're going to run the ball like this, I mean, what was wrong with that? You know what I mean? So let's jump to the 2022 draft. We taking number 8 overall Drake London. Okay, that's fine. But if I know you're going to run the ball like this in the second round, Breece Hall was right there. 2 picks before you got Ebiketie. Now, don't get me wrong. I get it. Breece Hall is injured now. He has a torn ACL, but he was doing damn good for the Jets. He had almost 500 yards rushing already in the season. If you're going to run the ball, and you had Kenneth Walker right there too, who was picked, 3 picks behind Ebiketie. Not saying Ebiketie is a bad player. I think he's done phenomenal. He's done phenomenal for the Falcons. But if you're going to run the ball like this, what are we doing here? I know you end up waiting to get Troy Anderson. That's cool. Then you turn around and get Desmond Ridder. James Cook was there, right? James Cook was there. I'm just asking questions because, now it looks like, this is going to be the move at this point. You look into the third round. Who did the Falcons pick in the third round? I want to see if I can. I don't think we had a third round pick. I don't think we did. But we end up going further down, and we end up getting, Tyler Algier in the 5th round, which is not a bad pick, but I'm looking at the other players that came through. It's like, if that's the case, if we're going to play football like this, why not go ahead and get a Najee Harris last year? Why not get a Breece Hall this year? I mean, I'm just asking questions. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. The Tennessee Titans end up getting Hassan Haskins. I don't know how well he's doing, but that was my pick to pick over Tyler Algier. I thought Hassan Haskins was going to be the better running back, but I mean, not to say that he's not to say that he is, or whatever the case may be, because Tyler Algier is doing okay. But when you're looking at Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M was picked by the Chargers, Zamir White was picked by the Raiders. I mean, if you're going to run this type of offense, I mean, Brian Robinson was picked by the Commanders. There's so many other running backs that was picked at the time, and it's like, if you're going to run this offense, you should have just picked the running back at a higher time. It's a lot of talent that we missed out on, and I'm not even talking about getting especially in the 2022 draft, you had a chance to get like 3 other guys. Hell, even in the 2021 draft, you probably wouldn't have been able to get Najee Harris, but you could have got some other people. I mean, I'm just asking questions because it's like I'm confused. You get this passing, these receivers that are out there and you're not even using them. But if you want to run the ball, you had a chance to get some bona fide running backs. You could have had at least 2 on the roster that could have done something. Now, I know you want to hang your hat on Cordell Patterson, and I don't mind that. But I still don't see Cordell Patterson as a running back. I just don't. I mean, I think he's a freak of an athlete. I think you can line him up at wide receiver. You can put him in the backfield. Hell, he can return kicks. But if you want a bell cow running back, which I feel that, Cordell Patterson has been doing, I feel like you should have just got one out of the draft. Earlier in the draft, in my opinion. That's just me. I don't know, because like right now, we're probably going to see more of this for some reason, because they don't trust Mariota to throw the ball. It's obvious they don't trust Mariota to throw the ball, because last year when Matt Ryan was throwing the ball, Matt Ryan was throwing 30, 40 times a game, even with the less of a talent at receiver. So it's not because of, I don't think it's because of the philosophy of the team, of what the scheme that he's trying to run. I just think he knows that Mariota is not to be trusted, throwing guys open, reading defenses. And it's really disheartening, because you got a rookie on the sideline that probably could do these things. Extremely intelligent guy in Desmond Ridder. I'm not saying he's the answer to all the problems, but you have a guy that can actually do something. Has been proven to do something. Played at Cincinnati and played at a high level against NFL talent and did pretty good. Now you want to talk about the Alabama game? Okay, I'm not going to necessarily say it was his fault that they lost that game. I mean, they were just overpowered. Cincinnati wasn't going to beat Alabama at all. But for them to get to where they were, beating Notre Dame, doing all these things that he did in his career, I don't know why that he's still sitting on the sideline right now. Yes, they're so close out of first place in the division is probably why. And the fact that they're so close, they're going to keep sticking with Mariota, because that's what worked. I mean, even though we're sitting there talking about this the entire time, it has worked. So they're going to stick with this until they can't anymore. They get 2-3 games below 500, I think it's going to be a wrap for Mariota. As long as they're around one game below 500, or they're going to be at 500 or above, they're going to stick with Mariota, because, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I get that aspect. But when he's not functioning as a quarterback, throwing the ball downfield, completing passes, making, being a playmaker, holding the ball in his hand. I mean, running the ball, yeah, but I'm talking about throwing the ball. Throwing guys open, making space for your receivers, getting these guys an opportunity to make yards after the catch. And it's not that it's not that he's not doing it. It's just like the plays are not there to do it. It's not like he's throwing the ball 30, 40 times and it's just bad football play. It's just that he's throwing the ball 13, 14, 15 times and not getting opportunities. So I'm really confused about what's going on here. I don't know what to even say when it comes to this, because in one hand, you pass up on like 4 or 5 different running backs when you're trying to run the ball. Like I said, at one point, I wasn't against getting Najee Harris. I wasn't against getting, who else? Javonte Williams. I wasn't against that at all. Now, I know Javonte Williams went like 5 spaces before Richie Grant. I get it. But sometimes you got to make that sacrifice. Especially if this is going to be your offense, you got to make something happen there. I think after that, I'm looking at the 2021 draft. I don't think there was another running back picked after Javonte Williams. That is wild. The next running back was picked was Trey Sermon in the third round. That's crazy. I would have never guessed that. Michael Carter for the Jets was picked up in the fourth round. So I guess it was somewhat a slim pickings then. But 2022 draft, it was no excuse. And that is nothing against what these guys are doing now on defense. The guys that we picked up on in the draft, those guys are doing pretty good. I can't lie. You got Troy Anderson, Ebikete. Those guys are doing great. But if you're going to predicate your offense on the running game, I mean, why not? Why not draft somebody? Because in 2022, you had like 3 or 4 chances to get a running back, and we waited all the way to the 5th round. And don't get me wrong, I like what overall. I do like what Algier is doing. But the way it looks like this is something that you probably could have gotten the first or second round, and probably had a little bit more talented running back. And I'm not saying that he's not talented, but I mean, you look at the production of a Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker. I mean, those guys are doing pretty good right now, and we had a chance to get them at one point. I don't know. I'm just looking at this in general. It just looks like. It just looks all discombobulated right now. I don't know what to think of what's going on here. We're going to be playing the Carolina Panthers next, and we're going to have to do something because those guys are going to have a little bit of confidence coming into Atlanta to play. They're going to have a little bit of confidence. And I don't blame them. They just got finished beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers handily, basically. They beat the bricks off of them, to be honest. I mean, the score 21-3 was bad, but that game looked like it could have been 35-3. It just looked really bad for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we'll get into that. We'll get into that later on in the week. It's Wednesday right now. We'll probably talk about it on Friday when it comes to the Falcons and Panthers. Panthers coming to Atlanta. But I'm literally confused. I don't know what to think about what's going on here. I'm legitimately scratching my head like, all right, what are we doing right now? Because right now looks like that we have some guys who can catch the football, but nobody's getting on the football. We're running the football a lot, and if we're going to run the ball like this, why didn't we just invest in it a little bit more instead of investing in on a 5th round pick? No disrespect to Tyler Algier. You could make the case that Tyler Algier could have been picked earlier in the 2nd or 3rd round. You could make that case. Because, I mean, he's not that bad. I just don't think that from the way things was looking at first, it looked like he wasn't that guy that's going to, it was going to be that guy that was going to actually do something. But he's shown that he can do some things. But we'll get into that at a later time as far as the Falcons hosting the Carolina Panthers. We'll talk about that later on in the week. If you like this commentary, the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think. Are you confused as much as I am? I don't know what to think because we got the pass catchers, but we're running the ball like crazy. You can't hide your quarterback forever. I know somebody on Twitter said that. Can't hide your quarterback forever. Let this man throw 25, 30 times a game or put Desmond Ridder in. That's just my opinion. Because this is a recipe to lose games. You keep this up, this is going to be a recipe to lose games, in my opinion. All right, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. You guys, check out all the links down in the description if you want the support. And I'll see you guys on the next one. All right, y'all. I'll take it easy. Y'all be blessed. Peace.